All right, we are rolling. I don't have any awesome way to start the show today, so we're just gonna get right into it. And you know what? I guess I could start it like this. Just was feeling a little off today, and the weather's been changing. It's been really cold, and then today it was really warm. It was like, yesterday it was like minus 22, and then today it's plus 10. So one of those days where just feeling a little bit, that this maybe the season change affects our body. And so I was feeling a little warm and flushed, and did I really want to do the show? I wanted to earlier, and then tonight I just felt tired, and I felt like cozying up on the couch and reading or doing something. So anyways, I decided to just get to it and just show up. I do my best to just show up whenever I can, especially when I feel like the mind energy, I don't want to do it, and things like that. And obviously, if you're sick or you can't do something, but I love doing this. And so I'm just showing up. It's what I like to do. I like what I like to create. So why would I not do what I don't prefer, So just doing what I like. And today, I thank you for joining me as well. If I didn't say that, I appreciate you sharing your time and space with me and your attention. And as always, I hope to bring value. And so today, I figured the last 2 weeks were specifically on energetic bodies and why those definitely make healing a little bit difficult. And I wanted to point out, I think it was in the last video that I did. I think maybe in the For the People article, there might have been a little bit of confusion between two of the clearings, the deceased loved one's spirit clearing, and then there's the deceased loved one's emotional body clearing. So there's actually two separate ones. Spirit one is so that they are not reincarnated back into the old earth, in the reincarnation trap. And then the emotional body clearing is to get rid of their ghosts. So if Uncle Larry dies, he's not haunting you in the family. So they're two separate clearings. Should do both of them. One for the person who's leaving here, their spirit, so that it doesn't get trapped and come back, and then also for the people who are left behind, so they don't get haunted by the emotional body. So I just wanted to make that clarification. I'm not 100% sure, but for some reason I was thinking about it, and I was like, did I remember it correctly, or was it the information a little bit wonky there? Anyways, always do a little bit of digging yourself, and there's lots of information out there and lots of wonderful stuff on the archives, the BBF's archives for the CLS stuff. So lots on there you can go listen to. It's really, really wonderful. And so I just want to start off with that. And then today, I wanted to made a little bit of notes as I was deciding whether or not to do the show live. I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna at least make a couple notes and jot some stuff down and see if there's even a whole episode. And of course there is. And I wasn't sure. I actually at first I was thinking about, I want to do natal barcode clearing and why that makes healing difficult. I'm just gonna shimmy on over here and get some water. And for some reason, I just wasn't feeling it. And I asked my spirit, I was like, Spirit, what do you want to do? I was downstairs making a cup of coffee, and it's like, what do you want to talk about today? And for some reason, chords came up, and I don't know why, but that's what came to me. So I wanted to talk today about chords and why energetic chords. So they're kind of, everything is energy, so not everybody can see them. I'm sure there's some people that can see chords, and some people probably more intuitive, people who are more feelers could probably feel them. You could feel something pulling on you, and it's really, maybe you could kind of relate it to what maybe a sixth sense or your intuition. So it's very subtle form of energy that can be very, very powerful sometimes, depending on who's courting you, because our thoughts are very, very powerful, and we're not taught that growing up. We're not taught at all, really, and so the thought energy can be very detrimental to us and to others. So the thoughts that we think about ourselves, the thoughts that we think about others, and so that's why mind energy is very, very powerful. And you ever hear the example, or sorry, I'll give the example. Somebody's talking, or maybe even you yourself, you're thinking about somebody and then they call. Well, did they call because you were thinking about them, or did you start thinking about them because they were going to call you? And so it's kind of that thing, because chords are a two-way street. And so you're going to be taking on their energies and they're going to be taking on your energies, which is not always, probably never what you want. And so you want to be with your own spirit energy and cut the cords. You don't want to be corded to people, places, and things, which we can get corded into a lot of different things. Just watching something in the media, you now you're corded into that energy, and so that puts you on a timeline because you saw it in a way. By choosing to watch it, you're consenting to it. So, say you watch something on the media, and I'm not going to create a timeline, I'm not going to use a real life example, but say there's a shooting in some foreign country or a flood somewhere or whatever it is. And you watch that, now you're corded to that event. So all the energies of all the other people that are corded to it, even if you don't know it, especially if you don't know about cords, then you're really, you're going to start worrying about it. Oh my God, I hope those people are okay. And it's going to be in your psyche. You're going to be connected to it until you know how to cut the cords. And cutting the cords, very, very simple. So it's not this elaborate, complicated process, which is, why these commands are so powerful, why doing this work and working with your spirit and your light is so easy, because it is direct. There's not any mumbo jumbo. It's just direct. The light only works in the now. So how do you cut those cords? Very simply, don't use too many words. So, I command my spirit to cut any and all energetic cords to or from me now. That's probably even too many words. You could just say, I command my spirit to cut all cords now. You don't need to replace them. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to, send peace and love and harmonies, prayers, good thoughts, good vibes. All that is all garbage. And, growing up in the church, we were taught to pray for everybody, and I, as a kid, I remember every night I would try to say a prayer, not specifically for all, but I would include all my family. So, recording all of our family, I'm going through the list of people. I didn't want to leave people out. I wanted to be a good little Catholic boy and made sure I prayed for everybody in my family. And that's how the dark side of the church, man, they knew what they were doing when they were talking about prayers and praying. And as Ron always mentions, what you pray, so look at the words Pray, Prey, right? You pray to, you become prey. If you're praying for something you don't have, praying that you get something, well, you're in a lack of not having that energy. So you're separating yourself out from it, so you can become prey to it. Law of cause and effect. It can be given to you and then taken away. And so that's the thing about energetic cords and mind energy and our powerful thoughts, that we're not taught, and it's very detrimental to us. On a show that I did with Sunshine last week on her show, I said to somebody, I don't remember who mentioned this part. Usually I like to give people credit or whatever, especially if I'm talking about something that I heard specifically. But it was the three enemies, and it might just be one of those things that a lot of people talk about, but the three enemies, I wrote it down in a book somewhere, and so it always stuck with me. But the three enemies are your own thoughts, the thoughts of your family, and the thoughts of your friends. So energetic cords can really, they can put us on timelines, they can stop us from doing things. We could, as I mentioned, we could be corded by people, places, and things, and so it's very, very easy to get pulled sideways and off our path when we're doing things because of cords, right? And so you don't want to be that's why just even talking about somebody who's not there, I'm working really hard on not talking about people that aren't here right now. Unless you should only be focused on the present moment, whatever, wherever you're looking, wherever your light is shining, whatever's on in front of you in your field of vision, on your plate in front of you, that's what you should be worrying about. That is where life is manifesting, in the light, in the moment. Everything else is past, future, whatever. It's not, it's darkness, it's mind energy, right? So I'm working really hard not to talk about people that aren't with me. Definitely no gossip. That's always kind of bothered me, and you don't really know, the old saying, those who gossip with you gossip about you, and that's true. And most people don't understand how detrimental their thoughts are. They're courting people, or if you're saying, oh, Judy, she's so this or so that or so annoying and blah 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 and does this, and you're just courting her, and so when she's not there, you're connected with her, so you're getting her energy and she's getting yours. So you don't want other people's energy, and you don't want to give away yours, and you don't want um, their energies as well. So, like gossiping about somebody, you think you're doing this. I don't know what people think they're doing when they're gossiping, but you're not doing anybody any benefit, including yourself or that person, and you could in fact be harming them and yourself. Um, that's where, like, that's how powerful our thoughts are, and that so many people don't know about it. That's where dark side practitioners, voodoo, curses, hexes, and spells, and all that witchcraft and stuff. That's not just made up stuff in the movies. That's legit stuff, and that's why the power of thoughts, energies, energetic pools of energy. So if you get corded to energetic pools, that's why, like, it doesn't matter, people, places, things, anything can be this energetic cloud or whatever, energetic pool of energy. And if you get corded up to that, like, think about, being part of a political party and us versus them, or sports and things like that. All courting, all timelines, all energetic exchanges, all psychic attack energy. And that's the thing, is your energy is not compatible with somebody else's. So when you're thinking about somebody, even if you think you're like, you're doing a good thing, you're sending them prayers, you're sending them love energy, oh, sending, good vibes. Stop it, please. I used to do it. I was guilty of that too. I don't like the word guilty, but I did it. And I really being as, focusing as best as I can my attention on myself, self-awareness. Oh, there's a synchronicity that I wanted to share with you that happened this week. And it's just kind of how my spirit speaks to me is, because spirit doesn't speak to you through words. So if you're hearing voices in your head, entities, past, present, or past or future, voices in the head or mind chatter, that's all entities, ancestral thoughts, patterns, old things like that. Your spirit rarely speaks to you in your head. It's more of a knowing. It's in the present moment, in the flow with the divine. There's really no thought. So you have to learn how to communicate with your spirit, but it's more of the subtle, synchronicities that show up or whatever. And so the other day I was doing some laundry, and I was thinking, like, wait, man, I could feel the energy. I had never quite felt the energy of the static energy from the, I don't know if I had more spiritual horsepower that day or whatever, but the static from the laundry, it was on my bed, and I could feel it from like several feet away. Like usually, it's close, close to your skin, something you can feel the static a couple inches away. I could feel it from probably 2-3 feet away. And so I was like, that's really weird. And then I went into and I could feel static on my arms. Really, it was just really strange. And so I went to the bathroom and I was in the mirror, and I was like, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm getting more spirit in my body. And then I walked back, and somebody in my house was watching a movie, and all I hear is, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And so that's a Michael Jackson song, right? And it was a musical, so it wasn't him singing it. But so that was just a little synchronicity, and that shows up. But that's what I'm doing, is I'm really focusing, starting with the man in the mirror. So I'm focusing on what can I do, instead of thinking the problems are the outside world. Like, oh, it's this, it's the Canadian government, it's my boss, it's whoever. It's so easy to blame the external world for the way we feel, the things that trigger us, our emotional states, what's going on with our life, to blame our position and whatever it is. It's just easy to focus on the outside world, right, and blame the outside world. So starting with the man or person, woman, both, whatever, everything in between, starting with the being in the mirror, and that's what I'm really working on. So not thinking about others, not, if you do think about somebody, instead of like wondering about them, or talking about them, just call them, be present in the moment. Or just, you don't need to send anybody thoughts, you don't need to wonder about them, you don't need to pray for them. If they're going through a tough time, let them, like, that's what I was telling somebody else the other day. It's like, you spoke to somebody last week and they were going through a tough time that day, and then you tell somebody, oh, like, so and so is going through a really tough time. Well, maybe their tough time got cured later that day when you were speaking. After you spoke to them, maybe whatever they were going through got resolved. But you saying they're going through a tough time and wondering about them, and like thinking about them, and just all that, you're sending them psychic mental energy that's kind of locking them into that reality, regardless of, because it's in the past. They like, and everything's in the past. So that's why the only time is right now. The light only works in the now, and in the now, everything's okay. But so much of the stuff that we think we're going through, it's in time. So yes, sure, you're dealing with those issues, but in the present moment, like I was telling somebody the other day, if you're worried, stressed, anxiety, it's all either past or future. Unless somebody's punching you in the face, most of the problems that we think are problems are in our head, and we're worrying about them. We're forecasting negative outcomes, or worried about something from the past coming back to haunt us, things like that, right? So let's see what else. I made a couple notes here just so I made sure I touch on all the things that I wanted to today. So yeah, according to media, people, places, and things, and like I've talked about media multiple times probably in previous episodes, and if I haven't, it's just not good. I don't know if probably the people watching this show probably aren't really big on the media anyways, but even the alternative media, I got sucked into that crap too, because that was just very cleverly done, because they realized that so many people weren't watching the news now, so they made this whole media is media. Even this social media is, even my show, in a way it's sending a cord, and people watching it are probably courting me subtly in different ways too. And so it is what it is. I'm willing to deal with the psychic attack energy because I think it's information that needs to be shared. So what other mission is there than helping people connect with their own divinity within and teaching them the things that actually harm us? I can't think of any better way to spend my time here on Earth, at least right now. I do plan on moving to an island with beautiful mountains at some point, away from everybody. But for right now, I'm here talking about chords, courting people. So anyways, yeah, let me just go through what are we talking about here? Yeah. So that's really why you don't want to court people, why you don't want to think about them, especially because a lot of times it turns into worry. So if something happens to one of our family members, they're in a car accident, you're automatically going to be in worry mode. And it's natural, especially when you don't know about these things. And so now, if something happens to somebody in my life, I do my best not to worry about them. And it's really difficult because, people we love, those cords are there. So we even just thinking about them, we get corded up with that energy, and we can get pulled onto their timelines, and we might even be able to feel and sense their pain and things like that. And while it's very interesting, it's not beneficial, and it's just not good because the energy is going both ways. And you don't really, if somebody's in an accident and injured, do you want to be taking on their injuries? And we do like to help people and balance things out, but you don't want to be even causing them more with their worry by sending them their worry, because even sending good vibes, like you're nobody's pure enough to send. Most people are not pure enough on this planet because it's so full of mind control and so much other crap that you're not just sending them good vibes. All your emotional baggage, whether you know it or not, the cord is the cord. You can't just send them good vibes and whatever. That's mind energy, just trust that their spirit is guiding them. And if you want to do anything, ask your spirit to connect to their spirit and just give them peace, because that's all that your spirit can do, is bring peace into the situation. That's where the healing happens, is getting your spirit back into your body in the present moment. You can't think, the mind is very powerful. You might be able to think and heal yourself, but it's not really that's doing it. It's your connection and your divinity within yourself that heals you in the present moment. Your spirit calling it back, commanding it to heal and balance you. And that's why, if you really want to help somebody who's going through something, teach them the commands. Just teach them how to connect with their own divinity. Teach them how to command their energies and ask their spirit for help, for guidance. And so that's what I'm working on doing now. So when people are going through things, I just trust. I command my spirit to cut the cord. I command my spirit to cut any and all energetic cords, and that's all you have to do, and increase your spirit. And that way, when you do, if you say somebody's going through a tough time, call them, check in with them. Then when that conversation's over, let it be. Just let the divinity within them do what it needs to do, and trust that process, and trust that you focus on you and they will focus on them. And that's the thing here, is that because because we live here in mind energy, and mind energy is darkness. It's very difficult. It's the battle of the minds. It's the battle of the wills. It's the law of attraction. All that stuff. It's all mind energy, and it's all very toxic. It's the collective consciousness, the universal mind, God mind, all that stuff. That's all in collective consciousness. We shouldn't be hooked up to that. That's why you want to keep your crown chakra closed. You want to keep your all your energetic chakras closed, because that's how cords, they can cord into you, is through your chakras. So there's a good way to cut the cord. You want to cut the cords from people, and then as a little bit of a backup, command your spirit and your body to close all of your chakras. So, count down from the top one, which is your crown chakra: 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 now. And get those puppies closed, because then you won't be able to be corded to things. So it's when we have open chakras and our energy's going everywhere and we're doing all that jazz, that's when we're susceptible to cords from others or cording others, and we don't want to do it. It seems like it's this thing that's just so prevalent in our society, and that's the dark side, so that everybody's all hooked up and connected and corded to the same crap. So you don't want your emotional baggage and all your energetics going with it, right? Because then that's why, in the law of attraction, the dark side of the law of attraction, that they always talk about using your mind to find that perfect parking spot. And I've mentioned it on this show several times. So if you've watched it, you've heard me talk about that. You don't need to do that. That's mind energy. That's psychic attack energy. That's sending out a cord, because maybe that spot, when you're driving there, maybe that spot is taken, but somebody in the store who's not as the battle of the wills, who's not as mentally powerful as you, or low on spiritual horsepower at that day, they're going to be standing there, and then they're going to get psychic attacked. They're going to feel an energy being like, well, I should probably get out of here or whatever. And so, you're not, like, God didn't manifest that parking space for you. You used your mind energy to boot somebody out of it, probably. And so that's how so much of our society is doing it. Like, all those books, I read them all too, like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People, it sounds like how to cord and manipulate people. If you just change the wording, it sounds a lot darker, right? But they sugarcoat it with this nice polished stuff. And if you read that book, you can really see how manipulative it is, and how basically you're just using people, right? And so that's all mind energy. That's all it's all manipulation. It's all dark side practitioner, voodoo, curses, hexes, and spells. There's no difference in that. It's no different than talking negatively about somebody behind their back. You're basically cursing them, hexing them, putting spells on them. You're becoming a dark side practitioner. You're causing them mental harm, and we don't know that. We think it's this innocent thing, and it's not. There's no such thing as time or space in this reality, and it's really hard to wrap our heads around. But time and distance are of no concern. So, instantly you think about somebody, or you think of negative thoughts, and it doesn't have to be out loud and verbal. It can just be mental. That's why we have to really be responsible for ourselves. Start with the being in the mirror, and even myself, sometimes I still have little moments where I get resentful or something pops up, and I was like, oh, that person is really upsetting. Like, I can't believe they did that. And it's like, you know what? Stop it. Cut that cord. Command your spirit to release the genetic cellular memory and DNA associated with it, whatever that emotional thing is. Write that issue down on paper, burn it, do a clearing, whatever you have to do, whatever modality works for you to remove that from your hard drive, so that you're past it. You're not courting that person. You're not revisiting that. Once you cut the cords, you don't want to have curiosity. Don't go back and look at things. Don't go back to see, like, if there's energy on it, because you're going to get hooked back up. You're going to get recorded to it. Right, or what? And what's funny is that I was thinking the other day, like, it just kind of popped into my head a while ago, and I wrote it down. And but I'm recording something right now, recording. So that's part of the reason I think that there's this big push in all this technology the past 100 years to throw people off ascension from going within. And the technology, your spirit and your consciousness and everything within you, everything's being recorded. Everybody's got phones. Everybody's everything recording. So you go back, look at pictures. You're in the past energies. You're not in the current. You're not creating proactively in the present moment. You're not in the present moment when you're looking at records or records or images, anything recorded from the past. So that's always pulling us back. And look about how news media cords people to the past, and so you're hooked up. Like, everybody thinks, even we're coming up to the holidays, like from like, it's just all date and time energy to suck your life force from you. And so, like, look what's coming up at Christmas time. That cords people to the past. That, like last year, I didn't put up any of my old Christmas decorations, just because I was like, I'm done with it. I don't want to go down trip down memory lane. I have 42 fucking Christmas decorations from every year from the time I was a kid, and I love my parents. I'm grateful. It's all good. Um, and everything. But it's like, I don't want to spend every year going down memory lane, going, oh, 1982, remember that? Like, it's just, it's a lot. And so, I put up some generic ones last year, and I didn't go through my box of all the ones that, it's just, I didn't want to be corded into the past. I'm working my best being in the present moment, and it's okay. That's the world we live in. We live in that mind energy, so we can visit the past. It's fun to get nostalgia every once in a while, to take a trip down memory lane, but don't get stuck there. It's really easy to get stuck there, and you don't realize how often throughout the day you get corded to the past or the future, or you do psychic mind projections, or daydreaming, or remembering. I guess you don't necessarily, can't really cord the future, although we do live in a time-based coded reality. So the future technically in the dark side already does exist. So maybe you are courting the future. That's why psychic people can read the dark side plan, and they can read futures. But if you get out of the natal barcode trap and clear that crap, you're not locked into that preconceived, pre-programmed life anyways. And that's an episode all in of itself. So I think I'm going to probably wrap it up close to around there. I don't know how long I've been flapping my gums for, but I appreciate you guys listening to this episode. And you know what? I really appreciate everybody who's sent in sent emails and commented on these videos, and even the shorts. It's awesome. And people who've called into the radio show as well. I've actually realized that I like doing the radio show. I might start doing lives on YouTube as well. I really like doing the radio show because it's live, and doing it with Sunshine. We have back and forth, and it's really cool. Like, because today I do have to make kind of, I made notes because I want to cover on specific things and make sure I hit those topics. Her and I, we haven't even really planned the shows, but oh, maybe we'll talk about this next time or that next time, but we never really get together beforehand and talk about what we want to talk about. And I like that. I like just showing up. There's nothing that I will not talk about or discuss, and if I don't have an opinion on it, I won't share it, or if I'm not comfortable, I won't. You don't need to share everything all the time with people, and sometimes you got to keep your cards close to your chest. Although the psychic people out there can read our consciousness anyways and manipulate us, dark side aliens. Anyways, won't get into that. I think that's probably for a few episodes more down the line. But I really like doing things live. It's when you're doing a recording, it's easy to get sucked in. So these ones, I do them in one-shot shebangs. Maybe I'll start the intro over if I screw up the intro or something, or there's a couple times I told a joke, and I remember one time I told it wrong, and I was like, fuck, I got to do it all over again. And a lot of times I don't actually even rewatch the show because I don't want to get into judgment about my past. I don't want to record my past, and then I'm sitting there being like, oh, you shouldn't have said that, you shouldn't have, or that sounded weird. That's all just judgments, and I'm sure you guys listening to me right now are probably even sometimes judging the things that I'm saying, and that's still the mind energy. That's still being hooked up to it. So we've still got energetic charges on good, bad, oh, this, that, right? And so that's part of me doing why I'm doing this, is to just get it out there, to not be in judgment of what I say or what I've done. And so I stopped, maybe I might rewatch an episode here and there just to review it for the next time. If I go a big distance in between shows, just be like, okay, where did we leave off? What was I talking about? But a lot of times I don't go back and review them. And doing the radio live, I like doing it live because then there's no preconceived notion. I don't know what questions are going to come up. I don't know what callers are going to ask. And it's really cool because then you're in the present moment and you have to be there. And that's when you're in source energy. You're in the present moment. You're manifesting with the beauty of the divine. That's when that really heartfelt information, that universal, knowledge comes out. because you're present, you're connected, you're not, that's why, like, if you've ever watched politicians and things like that, like people who write speeches, that's all mind energy. Like, and so an example I'll give of that is that when my dad passed away, I had to do, well, I didn't have to, I chose. And we're talking with my stepmom and my brother and about, are we doing a funeral or this or that? And my dad didn't really, he was not the kind of, he's like, after I'm gone, he's like, what do I care? He didn't have any plans. So we did a celebration of life, but it was like, well, okay, I'm gonna MC it. We played some music, had a really beautiful dinner, catered and everything. And it was an awesome thing, standing room only. Everybody we invited showed up, and actually two people couldn't show up, and two extra people came, so there was enough room for everybody. Just the way it worked out, perfect synchronicity. But I was very, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to say? Like, should I write a speech and all this stuff? And it just felt like really inauthentic to have to write a speech about your father, right? So what I would do is it's like, if I can't on the spot speak from the heart about my dad, then it's like, well, what am I doing in my life? So I would go out on walks, and as I was thinking about trying to write this speech, I would do these. I was like, no, I don't. And that's kind of where it came to me. It was like, I don't want to write a speech. It was like, so I would go out on a walk and I'd be like, boom, just practice right now. You're in it. What do you like? Here it is. Like, you're doing the speech. Like, this is the opening thing at your dad's celebration of life. What would you say? And I just started talking. And then I did, and I was like, wow, that was really good. It was just from the heart. And then I did it a couple other times, and I was like, you know what? I think that's just what I'm going to do. I'm not going to write anything down. I had maybe a joke or two that I wanted to tell, and so I was like, I'm going to open with that joke, but that was about it. And I'm going to let it flow, and I'm going to ask other people questions. And we passed around the microphone, asked people to share stories of, how, just whatever the, stories about it, things that they did with my dad, funny stories, heartfelt stories, things that were important to them. And that was beautiful. And that's the way it flowed through with me. And that's why I like doing things live. And I try to make these recordings all in one shot. I don't edit them post, because I want it to be live. I want it to be from the heart. I want it to be real. So much stuff out there with AI, you don't know if it's real. It's being manipulated in real time nowadays. They have switchboards that could, like the technology they have, we don't know even half of what's out there. And so it's real, it's raw, it's human, it's divine, it's present. And that's why I like doing the radio shows live, and it's a little bit scary. But you know what? I find it very therapeutic, and I'm actually not less scared of doing those things and doing that than I am. Sometimes I can feel the psychic attack energy. I can feel the chords from people in mind energy, and it's difficult to speak when you start understanding this stuff more. I can feel the psychic attack energy when I'm talking to somebody and they're in mind energy and they don't like what I'm saying, or like, not just by looking at body language, but I can just sense it. And like, you can look at their face tells a lot, but I can pick up on those things. And so I'm actually more comfortable doing live radio, live whatever, just being present with people, and doing it in the flow, rather than having these preconceived things with it. It's just weird. It feels fake and inauthentic. So anyways, I'm off on a tangent now, but that's why I don't know if I lost my point about about what I was trying to say there. But yes, I might start doing live ones. So if I do, or if you'd like me to do that on a certain time and date, that would be cool. Maybe I start doing a weekly thing, because I've been doing the weekly show on Saturdays at 2 p.m. on BBS Radio Station 1, I believe it is. So if you want to call in live, check that out too. It's really cool. Sunshine Show is great, and I'm on there again this weekend, I think. So it's, if you want to call in and chat with us, that would be awesome. And I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be related to the stuff, foundational healing, spiritual stuff, getting through the dark times in our lives, and just helping each other in general. So it's going to all be related into that kind of category. So feel free to check that out and give us a shout if you want. But yeah, doing the lives, if there's people out there that say, like, Friday nights at 8 p.m. or whatever, if you a couple of people out there want me to do lives and we can chat and can make it interactive, I really love that. I love doing the interactions. I used to do the interviews with people, and I'll probably get back to doing that. I love doing interviews. The one-on-one radio show is kind of like that, right? We interview each other. It's kind of a dynamic. But yeah, I would love to do a live where people could write questions and we could chat about them, because it's just more, I like doing it in the moment. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. As I mentioned, I do read them all and try to respond to them all. It might not be right away, but usually within a week or two, I get back to everybody. So please bear with me. And yeah, I think that's about it for chords today. Yeah, try to stay out of the mind energy. Try not to think about others. It's not as benevolent as we were taught to believe when we were growing up. So yeah, don't get hook backed up. Cut them. Yeah, people, places, things, events, and dates. Yeah, all those things can cord us to timelines and put us back into past energies. Remembrance Day. Why do we need to go remembering the same shit over and over again every year? And if you find coming up to the holidays, a lot of people don't necessarily like, we get corded into past energies. Oh, I remember this Christmas. Like I was talking with somebody and they're like, yeah, I've been alone at Christmas the past few years. And it's like, yeah, but that's not present. It doesn't have to be the same way. And so even myself, I didn't always have great Christmases. So just thinking about them, you cord to the past, then you're on that timeline, you're in that energy, and you don't want to be. You want to be present with your spirit here now. And so, yeah, I think that's about it for chords. There's only two energies out there: mind energy, present, and present energy. So mind energy, heart energy, and the present. So mind energy, it's like Ron said one time, you're either in the present moment or you're in hell, pretty much. And so that's the kind of thing. And it might not seem like that because, but it's still, you're not in the present moment. You're off in la la land, even daydreaming or thinking good things about the past. You're not proactively creating with the beauty of the divine in the present moment. So just try to be present in the moment, because the past or the future a lot of times causes anxiety, and or just as good as like thinking about the good times in the past, sometimes the bad times come up, and I shouldn't have done that, and I wish I would have done this, or what that person. And I've heard even people, it's like anyways, I just don't even want to get into the chording, because it's like I hear, I talk to people and it's like you can hear the chords that other people put when people gossip about you. Be like, oh yeah, but so and so was saying this and that about you, and I was like, oh my god, I wish so and so just wouldn't even talk about me. But it is what it is. Most people don't understand about this stuff, and I didn't really until a few years ago as well. And I was always I didn't really like gossip about it, but now it really takes on a new level. So even saying good things, like or you think it's justified, but it's not, because it could be causing harm. So just try not to think or talk about other people, or whatever. Just try not to cord people, and then you're going to have you're not going to pick up their stuff, and you're going to keep your spiritual integrity. And that's all we really need to do. And that's not to say that we can't have relationships, but just be there then and be here now, and if you're not here now, you won't be there then. So just, yeah, that's all I can say for now. So stay out of the mind energy, command your spirit to drop your awakening consciousness, do the mind to heart drop, get it down into your heart, body, and your entire being, and be present where you are. And that's it for me. Reach out if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, and until we meet again, peace.